All this shit starts with you. It doesn't start with your partner. It doesn't start with your family. It doesn't start with your kids. It doesn't start with your job. It doesn't start with your money. Mm-mm. All this starts with you. Therefore, if you want to be in a better place, if you want to be a better person, if you want to show up better, then you have to start with you.
You financed your first stand-up. It cost you $22,000. You had 25 to your name. Yep. Why did you decide to do that?
In business, the goal is for you to become independent and be the boss, take the responsibility, and also get the profit. How can I be looking for you to put me on if I would?
Why would someone else bet on you if you're not willing to bet on yourself?
This is my 19th 100 city tour. I'm not gonna have a conversation with these lazy bums that'll take a shortcut at any point. Yes, it's easier for you to juice than to get in the gym, but you don't get to bring that body in here talking crazy.
Talk about how good you look.
What?
Dr. Brene Brown talks about being the man in the arena, showing up as your full self, even when you don't want to. Now, that particular fight could be you trying to get out of economic struggle. It could be you fighting for your relationship. It could be even a fight with yourself. But if someone else is giving their 2 cents and they're not actually doing their own good fight, you don't have to pay them any mind.
There's so many folks, and I have so much empathy and sympathy for folks who want to avoid their relationship. When we build a relationship, when we connect with other people, it gets messy. It's my stuff and your stuff and our stuff, and then we have new stuff that grows out of that. The beauty in that, though, is that within that mess, we get a little bit closer to our truth. If you're afraid of being known, how are you going to get to the next level? How are you going to know your shadow? Because you're not allowing other people to know you. How can other people actually give you the insight for you to know yourself deeper? So I would encourage you, if you're afraid of relationships, whether it's having a deeper level of intimacy or being vulnerable with other people, I would encourage you, if you're feeling stuck, that might be part of the reason, because you can't do it on your own. Even though I'm super independent, have my publishing company, again, I have this TV show, I still know that my biggest growth to this day has come from my relationships, because the relationships allow me to understand when I'm projecting another party that's more objective than I am, not completely objective, but more objective than I am. The best relationships tell me the truth, not what I want to hear, not what my ego or my sunny side wants to hear, but what my shadow needs to be acknowledged for. Damon, you're kind of acting like that. I'm like, I don't act like that. No, you kind of are. Oh, crap. Okay. Well, I guess that's part of myself that I'm not acknowledging. And a couple loved ones have told me that, people that I trust. Let me sit down with that and see how I can integrate that. Get you a therapist. That helps somebody. And I don't mean therapy like going to the gym or going for a walk or go having sex or whatever. All fantastic things. But actually talking to someone who's a professional who can guide you a certain way and help you in a certain way to get you out of your own way. Often when people are being difficult, it has absolutely nothing to do with you. They're thinking about their bully that beat them up years ago. They could be thinking about their parent or their guardian who didn't give them love. And so they're assuming that you're not going to give them love or that they're unlovable. And it comes out in these weird projected ways.
I love hearing David Bowie talk about the creative process.
If you feel safe in the area that you're working in, you're not working in the right area. Always go a little further into the water than you feel you're capable of being in. Go a little bit out of your depth. And when you don't feel that your feet are quite touching the bottom, you're just about in the right place to do something exciting.
Think about your favorite creator, your favorite artist, your favorite innovator. All of them are recreating themselves. They're not doing the same thing over and over again. And they're listening to that voice, that genius that we all have, saying they should create something a certain way. They don't ignore that. Creative safety is death. And that's why when it comes to Kendrick Lamar, people aren't talking about his deep level of emotional intelligence. That is required if you're going to dissect something or someone to the level that he has with his recent songs. The last album actually talked about his dark side, his shadow side. He was doing his shadow work. And that came to understanding the dark side of his family, the dark side of his marriage, even the dark side of himself. He had Eckhart Tolle come in and do the interludes for the album. That's about as deep as you can get. That's extremely deep for a public-facing artist. And that means no matter what happens to him next career-wise, he's already won. which is
Number one, be impeccable with your word. If you're making a commitment, honor it. Number two, we were just talking about this, don't take anything personally. 95% of the time it has absolutely zip, bupkis, nothing to do with you. Number three, do not make assumptions. Don't assume you know why people are doing things. I have a hard time with this, especially I'm a business coach. I love psychology. It's easy for me to think that I know why people are doing things. And then sometimes you talk with people, which helps, and you realize that's not the reason they're doing it anyway. And number four, always do your best.
She has no choice but to let go of control because there are too many moving parts. When you have a small life, you can control it through your action, through your words, through your determination, through your willpower, through your rules and requirements and enforcements of those rules, by your shoulds and shouldn'ts, by your, if you don't do that, I will be really mad at you. But when your life gets bigger, you begin to discover that there are too many plates to keep spinning. And when the plates start crashing around you because there's not enough of you to keep them spinning, because you were never meant to control your life through your words, through your behavior, through your action. You intended to be the creator, controller of your life experience through the thoughts you think.
You have to forgive everyone, especially yourself. That doesn't mean that you have to like what people did or how people did things. As you're able to do that with other people, then it makes it easier for you to accept how you did things or what you did. And then ends up becoming what they call a virtuous cycle.
in her book, Rising Strong. I highly recommend it, where she talks about how when you judge other people, then you're also judging yourself. And so if you're saying, oh, that person's so stupid, I can't believe they can't get it together and all that stuff. The trouble is that life is complicated. And again, I've lived long enough to see it, where someone's talking about someone else, and then suddenly they're in that same situation, and their psyche can't handle it because that harshness is too heavy, and they're too judgmental of other people, but also very judgmental of themselves.
The thing is, where is our revenue coming from? The economic or financial engine. The second thing is service. How do you actually want to show up? Me doing this program is part of me showing up. This is me serving y'all as a community. Lastly, it's demand. What are people asking? So if you understand where your revenue comes from, if you understand how you want to serve, and if you understand the demand, you can balance things based on where that strongest priority is.
For example, Crystal Ball sold upwards of 200,000 copies at $50 a pop. 200,000 copies by industry standards would be a failure, but when you take the lion's share of the profit.
He was definitely one of the first mainstream artists to actually sell music directly from his website. Years before Spotify, we're talking about before the founder of Spotify probably was even born. And hand to hand, we are connecting directly to your audience. And as a result of that, you're actually making more of the money, because there's a piece of advice that I like to share is to focus on systems rather than habits. Systems are things that allow you to structure your life. Systems keep going, whether it's a pandemic or not, kids aren't feeling well or not, whether I'm traveling or not, those things continue. Habits, on the other hand, which are all well and good, but habits often can be based on what we're used to, like a routine. If I was stuck in the habit of whatever I'm doing now, then I wouldn't be able to make progress as I would with having systems. Systems are like a codified version of your values. You come up with the values, what's important to you. Those things are systems. My systems reflect my values, as opposed to habits. Habits are, we did things this way, so therefore they're the right way. There's nothing wrong with habits. I have quite a few habits, but they're not actually.
Even in our most hectic times, our most stressful times, we have the opportunity to actually calm down. No, you can actually find ways to take those breaks. And it's a matter of you not waiting till your energy is to 0 or your stress levels to 100, but actually finding incremental ways to do it. Kind of like not waiting for your phone battery to get to 1%.
A lot of critics today call modern day hip hop microwave culture, because you throw an artist in there, you give them a couple of hit singles, and they get hot really quickly, and then before you know it, they're cold on the plate. In his first couple of decades as an artist, Kendrick released albums every 4 to 5 years, which is unheard of in the hip hop community. No, actually, there are other artists that do that, but no one cares when they come out. Whenever he came out with an album, it was a movement, an event. The extra time cooking allowed him to stretch what modern day hip hop could be. Collective, he shined the most.
particularly when he got his mixtape in the hands of another Compton icon.
J. Cole, did you tell Dr. Dre about Kendrick?
Kendrick Lamar, Drake strategically aligns himself with new talent. The mainstream music system is notoriously fickle. Usually, rappers in particular will have a couple years or maybe even a couple months in the spotlight, and then suddenly they're gone. Drake had his first major hits back in 2009, and in the time since, he's had dozens of number ones. But a lot of those come from collaborations, and whether it's Afro-pop or reggae, he's able to get onto that next wave and listen to, absorb that particular style, as well as highlight and collaborate with the newcomers that are coming in that are using that style.